Page 36, the Hokey-Pokey. At the top of the page 36, they're talking about an inversion. An inversion is when you take a card and you turn it over. You invert it. Let's take a C chord. If I take the C and I put it on top here, I've inverted it. Or if I take the G and I put it on the bottom here, I've inverted it. I've turned it over. Usually we go up, but you can go either direction, doesn't matter. Here they're talking first inversion. That means you invert it one time. So here, I simply put the C on top. So here. That is a C chord first inversion. Or a first inversion C chord. That's the arrangement. It's a C chord in that arrangement. I could do it again. I could take it here and put it here. Second inversion. If I do it again, then I'm back to the original. We call that root position. When the notes are every other note, and the bottom note can be used to identify the chord, we call that root position. Keep it in mind. Other than that, I haven't found inversions to be very helpful. You'll see them a lot in music, and you'll get used to seeing them, and you'll recognize them. Because they're used in the right hand here a lot. I mean, right at the beginning, this chord. Well, you see these two notes. You know that's not root position because there's two notes there, and you can't do that in a root position. So, but if I take that G and I put it here, now it's in root position because it's every other note. And the bottom note then tells me what the chord is. It's a G chord. Okay, or what, a dominant chord in the key of C? Does this ring a bell? No. And that's what these are. Just and all these, when you see this arrangement in the notes, you know it's first inversion. But other than that, I don't know how helpful that is for you. Use the same fingering for each one. I just aim one finger, and the other fingers go along if I hold my hand in that position. If you use your wrist on doing it, keep your wrist flexible, you won't get tense. See, the tendency when we do this is we get tense because we want to hold our hand in that position. We don't want to move. Well, flex the wrist, and that will fight that get tense. So when I'm doing this here. That's all. You can aim any finger you want. I usually aim the melody if there is one, but practice-wise, practice all of them. Aim the thumb. Then aim the middle one. Then aim the little finger here. The other fingers just go along. That's kind of cool. Should do it in both hands. The Hokey-Pokey, 4/4 time. No sharps or flats in the key of C major. At the beginning, rhythm 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3. So you got that rest on beat 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now, let me explain a little something about music. You're just going to love it. I know you are. According to the time signature, every measure has to have a certain number of counts. 4/4 time, you got to have 4 counts in every measure, 4 beats. That's the rule. Well, the first measure has 4 counts in it, but look at the second measure. You get 1 count, and then a rest, and then a half a rest. That's 2.5 counts. And then the double bars. That's a measure break. Double bars. Well, what they've done is they've split this measure up because the double bars is a section break. That tells you one section of music and then another section of music, like chapters in a book. You can have sections in a piece of music, and this is the end of a section. It's the introduction, a section. The introduction is a section. It's not always split with double bars, but in this case it is. So the introduction is the here, and that's it. And then you start the actual song. See, because if you wanted to, you could skip the introduction and start right where the song starts. Well, there's a pickup beat, or pickup note, 1.5 counts. So it comes in on the end of 3. 3 and 4 and 1. So those two measures before the double bar and after the double bar together make 4 counts, and that's how they're justifying doing this. So let's go on. Starting in the second measure, just count it straight across, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's the way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's pretty much it. You move around a little bit in this, but the rhythm for the most part is the same throughout. Now go down to the bottom of page 37. The last couple measures, you're down here. 1 and 2 and 3. Does this sound familiar? It's the same as what was in the introduction. And then the last measure, you have a 1 and 2 and here, except there's an 8 VA above it. So it's for that last chord, instead of here, you got to go to here. So it's here and 2 and. Just move during the rest, it's fine. Left hand just has the beat. Keep the left hand steady. Down here, quarter notes. Because you got all the fancy rhythm and syncopation going on in the right hand, so the left hand needs to be steady. Over on page 37, third line down. Look at that. Here, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Get a little bit of rhythm in there, not much. And the double bars, again, it's a new section. This time, you got 4 beats in those measures. They didn't split a measure here. Well, they didn't need to, but yeah. Now at the beginning, watch out. This is a tricky part about this, in my opinion. Not that it hasn't been tricky already, but is the left hand, you've got staccato, and the whole piece is staccato pretty much. Short, nice light wrist staccato. You see at the top of page 37, underneath the staff, it says LH staccato. It's telling you left hand staccato. Just keep the left hand staccato all the way through, pretty much. Well, in the right hand, it's not. At the beginning, those are staccato, but those eighth notes aren't. Now, you can't really play them legato because they're repeated notes, but still they're not staccato. Can you play one hand short and the other not? Now these are, but then the song starts in the right hand, it's, and while you're doing that, the left hand is short. At the same time, the whole thing through, go down to the third line on page 37. You're here. Here, I would not do staccato in the left hand so much. I'd play both hands the same here. Here. Go ahead and give that the full count. Play it like the right hand here on this part. But when the next line, when you get back to this, go back to the staccato in the left hand. That's the second measure, the fourth line here. Like so. Now that last measure there at the bottom of page 37, the left hand, you're here, and then you have this G with an 8 VA under it. Remember, if the 8 VA is under it, you go down. So here you go down. If your keyboard's long enough, staccato. If your keyboard's not that long, then you go down as far as you can on it. So that last measure, you're here. Both hands are moving here, but you can move the left hand first. Left hand first, and as you're playing that, then you can move the right hand. And that last note is not really staccato, it's an accent. It's not a long note, but it's nevertheless, it's not short. Just give it a little extra oomph, that's all. So that'll take some time to work out, staccato in one hand and not in the other. As far as the dynamics goes, the dynamics here are suggestions. They go to the right hand. Keep the left hand soft. Just send sort of loud, moderately loud. And then all of a sudden you're soft. the end of the second line on page 37, you come up. Now you're loud. Don't get loud before those eighth notes. Now you're coming back down to sort of soft. And you get loud again. At the end, as far as the speed goes, it's up to you and how you feel. Get to know it first, and then you'll feel the dynamics, you'll feel the speed. Now also, since this is a swing style piece, we can swing these eighth notes. That is, we can play them long, short. So the counting is, instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and, the counting turns into 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's how the eighth notes go. As far as how fast, again, it's up to you on it. I'd like to play it with you slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do dynamics, but I will swing the eighth notes and the articulation. We want to do that. So I'm going to give us 4 counts. Let's play it together slowly. 1 and 2 and ready and go, and 1